Hello, golfers. This is the first of a series of posts I plan to make interviewing people who have considerable domain expertise in fields that relate to helping a golfer play better golf. So, Terry Hashimoto is someone who's probably known to every coach in the golf business because he was one of the first movers in the business of tracking pressure traces. Uh, and pressure traces apparently can tell you not just about the movement of the golfer under his or her feet, but can also indirectly indicate the club's movement. For instance, if a golfer is moving forwards towards the lead toe in the downswing, it means they're likely to have an in to out club path. So, Terry, please tell us a little more about your background in golf, and also please give us some unique insights into what one can learn from pressure traces either directly or indirectly.
So I played tour golf, 4 years on the Canadian Tour, went to the finals of the PGA Tour, schooled twice. The year that I got the closest was the year Mark Devecchia made his card and Dick Mass set the all-time scoring record. I believe I was 2 back off of it. Played many PGA Tour events, made cuts. My best finish on the Canadian Tour, I finished 17th in the Order of Merit. Played golf internationally all over the world as an amateur. Had a good career, went to school, University of Miami. Nathaniel Crosby, the U.S. amateur champ, was on our team. So he had to be a good player to make it. And I had a terrific career as an amateur with international experience all over the world. As a club fitter, I went on to develop the world's first speed-rated graphite series of shafts called Jazz 70, 80, 90, and 100, based on the general characteristics of the players within each range of those club head speeds. And later on, I went on to develop the filament wound graphite shafts with a company called Spiral Tech in Lincoln, Nebraska. So over 40 years of club fitting experience, played a lot of golf all over the world as an amateur and professional, and was able to combine all those to formulate some of the theories we use today. I had sort of gotten tired of the golf business and I wanted to develop something new to help concussions. But the people at Winnipeg thought that perhaps maybe because I was more well known for golf that we should stick to golf, and they knew I was interested in developing a pressure mat for gait analysis, and they said, why don't we see if we can use that for golf.
Why do you believe a linear trace is important? How does the pressure pattern relate to how a golfer moves the club?
It's easy. I want to understand the path of least resistance, and behind me is a linear trace. How do I know that? Because I know how to duplicate it. That line going back and the line going through represents no restrictions. When you see variables in that line, you're going to see path of restrictions. And I've always believed that the hands under pressure will choke, but you got to be free to let your hands do what they should do naturally. And by having an optimal trace, which in my opinion, not my opinion actually, it's based on years of collecting data off the PGA Tour, where all the iron traces in all the PGA Tours that we collected was linear. When I take the club back, I want that pressure to be a straight line going back and a straight line going through. And when you know how to do it, it's relatively easy. If I have any restrictions on my trail side or on my lead side, I have to go around those restrictions. And that forces the path to change. So when I'm changing my path constantly because of my pressure, that means my hands have to compensate. And you have to have incredibly fast hands or very, very great hands to be able to get the club square. Some players can get around and do that. But the other thing is that I always have a philosophy: when it's easy, copy the winners. And the first 3 years out in the PGA Tour, getting all the traces with all the great coaches that allow me to follow them and share their traces with me, the one thing that we saw in all the iron shots of all the PGA Tour winners, they were all linear. Thanks for asking, KK. For the first few years of working pressure mapping with BodyTrack, we focused in on what all the great players do. Now we focus in on how to use BodyTrack to make it easier for beginners and novices to learn how to play golf faster. I've spent the last year and a half doing is just how to use pressure mapping and technology to let novices and beginners learn how to play golf more effectively, fast, and fun.
We can use a pressure trace as an indication of how a body's mass is moving. Research has shown that weight transfer is correlated with club speed for those who transfer weight to their lead foot, and we also know that skilled golfers are able to transfer weight forwards more easily. So, knowing this, why do we not position golfers' weight closer to the target at address and then merely prevent it from moving back during the backswing? Why go from Prince Edward Island in Canada, where Terry is located, all the way to California if one's eventual destination is merely New York City? Why do we not rotate golfers closed at address so they have their center of mass closer to the lead side and also have a bit more pressure in the heels? This position also results in an in to out path when no unnecessary body movements are made going back, a guaranteed way to get the linear trace Terry talks about. And finally, as to the restrictions that Terry talks about that result in golfers having to try to square the club face with the hands, the biggest and least understood restriction of the golf swing is the teeter totter that golfers are on at the top of the backswing. That is, the position of the trail shoulder being higher than the lead shoulder. As Terry demonstrates his linear trace, he has found without volition the perfect top of backswing to do it from. No teeter totter. From the teeter totter position, which once again I describe as the lead shoulder being lower than the trail shoulder at the top, the central nervous system has two choices: path of least resistance and over the top, the straight line in the picture, which is no good as we know, or do a lot of work against a lot of restrictions in a limited amount of time and forcefully rotate the pelvis open, straighten the bent lead knee, and tilt the head towards the trail side. Both are not non ideal choices. Once again, why not position the body at the top for its role in the downswing, and that way there are no restrictions to be overcome and the hands never have to fight the good fight. The teeter totter is the biggest cause of inconsistency in the golf swing for all skill levels of golfers and provides many restrictions in the downswing.